But that's a war that should have never been allowed to start. And Biden could have stopped it, and Zelensky could have stopped it, and Putin should have never started it. Everybody's to blame.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, sir, about his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries?
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles. You know, he's against. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size, and then hope that people give you some missiles.
This is my video update on this Tuesday afternoon, April the 15th, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, who gave an interview to the Russian media outlet Kommersant. And I talked about this a bit in my video update yesterday, but I believe the full interview has been published this morning or will be published very soon. And Lavrov, as always, said some very interesting things, especially about Project Ukraine and the Green Goblin. So Lavrov, he said in this interview that Macron and Stammer, they are looking for a new Green Goblin. They are looking for someone to replace Elensky, according to Lavrov. Oh, what has the world come to when 008 and Little Napoleon turn their back on you? Poor Elensky. So Poroshenko, he was featured on the Washington Post, an article on the Washington Post with Poroshenko claiming that the former president of Ukraine, the post-coup d'etat president of Ukraine, is very upset with the Green Goblin. He would like Elensky to go. Poroshenko is arguing that Elensky really screwed things up when it comes to Trump and Ukraine's relationship with the United States, and it's time for Elensky to go. And of course, Poroshenko is positioning himself as the Elensky replacement. The Russians would never go for Poroshenko. The Europeans would go for Poroshenko. Certain factions in the Trump administration, the neocon factions, would absolutely go for Poroshenko. But the Kremlin would never accept Poroshenko as an Elensky replacement. The Chocolate King goes up against the Green Goblin. It writes itself. The Chocolate King goes up against the Green Goblin. I like it. I like it. Is that not a Marvel superheroes title? The Chocolate King takes on the Green Goblin. So that is one thing that Lavrov said. Lavrov also was asked by the journalist at Kommersant as to whether the key components of the agreement on Ukraine have been settled with the United States. And Lavrov's answer to that question was that the key components are hard to agree on, and discussions continue. A very diplomatic answer from Lavrov. What he is saying is that the Elensky regime, the UK, the EU, Kellogg, certain neocon groups in the Trump administration, they continue to prevent a deal between the United States and Russia on Project Ukraine. So discussions continue. If it was Witkoff, then we would have a deal with Project Ukraine. But we still have the Europeans and Stammer and the Kellogg's and Waltzes of this world who are preventing a deal on Project Ukraine. But as Lavrov said, negotiations continue. Top Russian diplomat explains why Moscow trusts Trump. The U.S. president's common sense approach is a positive departure from the Biden years, Sergei Lavrov said. So he was asked about the differences between the Trump administration and the Biden administration when it comes to Project Ukraine. And the simple answer from Lavrov is that the Trump administration is willing to listen. We can talk to the Trump administration. That is what Lavrov said, where with Biden, there was no talking. There was just escalation. So let me read you what Lavrov said. Unlike the UK and EU countries, the Trump administration is trying to get to the bottom of the issue and, most importantly, understand the root cause of the Ukraine conflict, Lavrov told the newspaper Kommersant in an interview published Monday evening. Okay, so it's already been published. The US and the EU organized and funded the anti-constitutional coup in Kiev in 2014, which triggered the confrontation with Russia, the minister stated. Trump has repeatedly said that the colossal mistake which led to the current events in Ukraine was the Biden administration's decision to drag Ukraine into NATO, Lavrov added. So does Lavrov trust the Trump administration? Does he fully trust the Trump administration as they are trying to negotiate a Project Ukraine deal? Here is what Lavrov said. Lavrov said the message Moscow heard from Washington was that when their national interests don't align, Russia and the U.S. as responsible players on the world stage must do everything possible to prevent those contradictions from escalating into confrontation. In areas where their interests do align, both sides should not waste an opportunity to pursue joint initiatives, he added. We know perfectly well what a mutually beneficial deal looks like, something we have never rejected, and what a deal designed to lure us into another trap looks like, Lavrov said. Lavrov used the words lure. We will not be lured into another trap. Lavrov's a smart guy, very smart guy. Putin's a very smart guy. Most of the Putin administration is very, very smart. So they understand what's going on. They're not going to be lured into another Minsk 3. They're going to negotiate with the Trump administration, and they're going to try to get to the Trump White House to move towards Istanbul Plus. Witkoff is already there. Now it's just about getting Trump there. And if you can't get Istanbul Plus, then the Trump administration can say we tried. We tried to get a deal. Didn't work out. We're moving on. And then Russia's going to do what they need to do. And the UK and the Europeans are not going to be able to do anything about it. Let's get real. Without the United States, the Europeans, and 008 Stammer are not going to be able to keep Ukraine, to keep the Elensky regime afloat. Which is why there are rumors, more than rumors, that Macron and the French are working with forces on the ground in Romania, and they're planning. These are the rumors. They're planning some sort of a French force to move into Ukraine and make a dash towards Odessa. If Trump walks away from Project Ukraine, if and when Russia advances towards Odessa, then the French are planning to try and beat Russia to Odessa, the French military. These are rumors, but believable. believable. I don't know if Macron would actually do such a thing or if he's just posturing, but this is what some outlets are saying. It would explain why the Europeans, why the EU and NATO made such a big deal of not allowing Georgescu to stand in the Romanian elections, fearing that Georgescu would not allow a French contingent to use Romanian territory to make a run for Odessa if the United States decided to walk away from Project Ukraine and the Russians quickly advanced towards Odessa and along the Black Sea. They wanted to make sure that they did not have Georgescu there blocking the French plans. That would make sense. So that's Lavrov. That is what he said to Kommersant, published on Monday evening. So the full article is available if you can access Russian media. Let's now talk about Trump and what he said in the Oval Office as he was meeting with Bukele of El Salvador. And the questions that Trump answered on Project Ukraine, very interesting responses from the U.S. president. Where should we start? Where should we begin? He was asked to clarify the statement that he made on Air Force One about the missile strike in Sumy, where he was asked to comment on the missile strike in Sumy, and Trump said it was a mistake, and then he blamed the war on Biden. But he left it there. He just said it's a mistake, and he didn't get into it any further. And he was asked to clarify what he meant by a mistake, and that was another gotcha question from the reporter. And Trump did not fall for it, man. He did not fall for it. He said, look, it was a mistake, and the mistake, what I meant by saying mistake, was that this entire conflict was a mistake. This entire war was a mistake. He didn't fall for the gotcha question. The reporter wanted Trump to call Putin a thug and to say Putin is evil and we're going to place 10,000% sanctions on Russian oil and stuff like that. We're going to send U.S. troops to Ukraine and give Elensky $500 gazillion. That's what the reporter was hoping Trump was going to say. But that's not what Trump said. He completely dodged the question, right? He weaved in and out and dodged that gotcha question. And he then went on to say that Elensky is incompetent. Biden was incompetent. He did say that Putin should have never invaded Ukraine. And then he went on to say, if I was president, this would have never have happened. Let me get you his exact quote. It was a mistake to let this war start. If Biden was competent and if Elensky was competent, and I have no confidence in that. We had a tough meeting here with him. He kept asking for more and more. This war should never have happened. I was president for 4 years and Putin didn't even raise the issue. That's not the full quote of what Trump said. He did say that Putin should have never invaded Ukraine, and then he went on to talk about how this would have never happened if I was president. But he called Biden competent. True. Incompetent. True. He called Elensky incompetent. Very true. And then he was asked about Elensky offering $15 billion to purchase American Patriot systems. Where is Zelensky getting the money? Allegedly, he's getting the money from the European Union, but I'll get to that later on in the video. He doesn't have the money. If it's not given to him by the EU, if it's not given to him by the United States, Elensky does not have $15 billion. Well, maybe if he sells some homes or some property, maybe he can come up with the $15 billion, but he's not going to do that. Anyway, Elensky, He said that he'll purchase Patriot systems for $15 billion. He has $15 billion to purchase U.S. Patriot systems. He wants to get 10 Patriot systems. That's what he wants to get for $15 billion. And what was Trump's response? Trump's response was, and I quote, he's always looking to purchase missiles. When you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, he said of Elensky. You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles. Man. Boy, did that statement from Trump anger the Elensky regime. It angered Bezuglaya, who I talked about yesterday, who was part of Elensky's administration. From what I understand, she's no longer part of Elensky's administration. I'm not quite sure if she's a member of parliament. I think she is a member of parliament. But anyway, she was plenty mad with this statement from Trump. The Ukraine media is very upset with what Trump said, basically saying that Zelensky started the war. That is basically what he is saying in this answer. You do not start a war with someone 20 times your size. Yeah, so Bezuglaya, she is calling on Ukraine to sever its diplomatic relations with the United States. Rada Deputy, okay, she is part of the parliament, Rada Deputy Bezuglaya called for severing diplomatic relations with the United States in the wake of Trump's latest comments. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea if you're Ukraine to sever your relations with the United States. Then again, who knows? Maybe the United States is going to walk away anyway, so who knows? But that's Bezuglaya. Sever relations with the United States. That's going to help. That's not a solution. Bezuglaya. But she's mad. She is very mad at the fact that Trump is saying that Zelensky started this conflict. Do not start something with someone 20 times your size. And then hope that people give you some missiles. That's what he said after that. And then hope that people give you some missiles. Man, Trump. A lot of anger in Kiev, a lot of anger in Brussels over that statement from Trump. What else did he say in the Oval Office? He was also asked about placing more sanctions on Russia and tariffs and sanctions on Russia. And Trump said, look, I've already placed sanctions. As the United States, we've already placed sanctions on Russia. They've already been sanctioned 568,000 times. How many more sanctions or tariffs can we possibly place on Russia? He didn't say that, but that's what he was implying. We've already sanctioned Russia. And then he went on to say that, I think he went on to talk about the javelins, stuff like that. I gave them the Javelin missiles. I don't know why he keeps on saying that, but he keeps on saying that. And then he went on to say that he was the guy that stopped Nord Stream 2. I already sanctioned Russia. Remember Nord Stream 2? Biggest pipeline ever. Maybe in the world. I stopped it. Went to Germany. I stopped it. Yeah, he was asked why no more sanctions on Russia after the Sumy missile strike. That was the question that he got from the reporter. They're really trying to get him on this on the Sumy missile strike. They're really trying to get Trump to say something that would jeopardize the negotiations with Russia. That's what they're trying to do. That's why they keep on asking him about Sumy. Yeah, Nord Stream 2. I got them to stop Nord Stream 2. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Trump one of these days, and he's going to say it. I just have a feeling he's going to say it. Some reporters can ask him some question about sanctions or tariffs on Russia, and Trump is then going to say, I got them to stop Nord Stream 2, or I sanctioned Nord Stream 2. I believe he sanctioned Nord Stream 2 or something like that. And Biden blew it up. Not that Biden blew it up. Not that Biden blew it up. That's fake news. We already know that it was Gilligan and the skipper on the Andromeda yacht. I showed you the Andromeda. I found the Andromeda yacht. It's in Ayia Napa. I've already showed it. So we have all the evidence we need. It's all there. It's all in Ayia Napa. Sitting there, the Andromeda yacht. The scuba gear is still in the Andromeda yacht, as well as the Red Bull and beer that Gilligan and the skipper were drinking, because you have to get your energy up if you're going to go deep into the sea and blow up a big pipeline. But anyway, I'm waiting for Trump to say something like that. You know it's going to come out sooner or later. You know it. Oh, man. So Witkoff was on, I believe he was on Hannity, on Fox News. And he was asked about the negotiations with Russia. And Witkoff said that it's difficult. It's difficult, but we could be looking at a very big deal, a deal that will be very good for the entire world, is what Witkoff said. I was listening to what Witkoff was saying, and it does seem as if Witkoff is starting to really get an understanding on the history of Ukraine, Project Ukraine, and he's starting to understand the root causes. And in his statement, you could tell that Witkoff is starting to understand Russia's position in that, yes, we want to get to the root causes of Project Ukraine, but in getting to the root causes of Project Ukraine, we also have to address a new security architecture in Europe, one which takes our interests as Russia into consideration. You could tell from Witkoff's answer to Hannity that he's starting to get it, and it looks like he's very positive in that the U.S. and Russia can reach a deal, a big deal. He also said that the United States and Russia can work together to create compelling commercial opportunities. According to Witkoff, the Ukrainian settlement is on the verge of something important for the entire world. That's a direct quote. He was also asked about Iran as well, and he also made it seem as if the negotiations are moving in a positive direction. The United States is looking to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. He said there's two components to that. The first component is the enrichment, and the other component is the actual weaponization of any type of missile. So if he can get Iran to agree to not do any of those two things, then it looks like Iran could get some sort of sanctions relief, and we could have a deal. But Witkoff said that those are the two components that the United States is looking for, and it does appear that it's going to be a long process, a long negotiation, but it is on the right track. At least that's what I got from Witkoff's statement to Hannity. Listening to Alexander on his channel talking about the Iran negotiations with Witkoff, you basically do have the JCPOA. So you're looking at the JCPOA with one big difference from what I understand. Could be wrong about this, but from what I understand, the big difference from the JCPOA and what the Trump administration is discussing with Iran is that with the JCPOA, there was a 10-year limit on the JCPOA deal. And what Trump is looking to do is he's looking to make this permanent, the enrichment and not being able to weaponize a missile. He's looking to make this a permanent solution. That's my understanding of, or at least that's the key difference between the JCPOA and what's being negotiated now. Maybe it's a small difference, maybe it's a big difference, maybe you could argue that the JCPOA could have been renewed or something like that. I don't know, but that's my sense of things. So in Kursk, we have a Sparta narrative that is developing, a 300 Sparta. This is Sparta narrative that is developing. Should we go for a walk? Let's go for a walk. Why not? I was very comfortable up here recording the video, but let's walk a bit, see what we find here in Limassol. So, Armonia Beach, Armonia Municipal Beach. That's where we are, everybody. So what's going on with 300? What am I talking about? Alexander talked about this yesterday. 300, about 300 Ukrainian troops trapped in Kursk, I believe. Yeah, in Kursk, in the St. Nicholas Monastery on the eastern outskirts of Kursk, of a village in Kursk. In Gornal, Kursk region, Gornal. That's the location of this monastery where the narrative is being spun that you have 300, interesting number there, of course, 300 Ukraine soldiers who have taken refuge, decided to hide in this monastery, and the Russian military is telling them to surrender. Surrender or else. But what are you going to do if they're in a monastery? Right? You have to figure out a way to get them out of there. Wait them out, I guess. You wait them out. But the media narrative now that is being spun by the Elensky regime is that of the 300 soldiers who fought the thousands and thousands of Russian military, refused to surrender, and you got a whole Sparta movie script that's being developed. King Leonidas script that's being developed, starring Elensky as Leonidas, and who else is going to star in This Is Sparta? Anyway, man, I don't know what I'm talking about. 300, that's the number that they're going with. We all know why they're going with the number 300, right? We all know the reasoning behind this. From what I've heard, it's a little less than 300. I've read some reports which say it's more like 400 or 450. I've read reports which say it's like 220 or 250. But they've settled on the number 300. But anyway, that's an update on that story. I imagine the Russian military is just going to wait them out. Wait them out, and eventually they will surrender. That would be my guess as to how this is going to play out. That'll be the reality of how this is going to play out. How the collective West media and how the Elensky regime spin this, I think that'll be a different story. So Peter Szijjártó, the foreign minister of Hungary, he came out strong yesterday with a strong statement, Szijjártó, and he said that Hungary's not going to put up with any more Project Ukraine. He said Hungary is done with Project Ukraine, completely done. Hungary's red line is troops, Europe sending troops to Ukraine. He said Hungary will absolutely veto any kind of talk or vote about sending troops to Ukraine. He said that Hungary is against money, against weapons. Basically, listening to Szijjártó, you get the sense that the more the Trump administration, for now, because things can change, I know what you're going to say in the comments down below. Things could change with Trump, you don't know, but for now, it does look like Trump is moving more towards Witkoff's view of things. And if you can't get Istanbul Plus, then it does look like Trump is moving more towards walking away, but things could change. And as Hungary sees the direction of the United States, Hungary is getting more confident to also talk about how they're done with Ukraine as well. And they seem to be more confident in vetoing European EU initiatives on money and weapons and possibly troops into Ukraine. Remember what I said about the rumors with France and Romania. Siarto said, we will not vote for European troops to enter Ukraine. We will block that. So that is what Siarto said. The Polish foreign minister, thank you USA for blowing up Nord Stream. Radoslaw Sikorski, he said that Hungary's stance on Russia, Ukraine, Russia, lacks moral clarity. Sikorski is saying that Hungary lacks moral clarity when it comes to Ukraine and to Russia. Hungary wants to continue to escalate. Poland, Sikorski, being a good neocon, wants to continue to escalate, and Hungary wants to de-escalate. And it's Hungary that lacks moral clarity. Okay, Sikorski. Thank you, USA. Nord Stream post on X, Sikorski, which he deleted very quickly, 5 minutes after Nord Stream went kaboom. Sikorski, thank you, USA, with the photo of Nord Stream going kaboom. Yeah, it's Siarto and Hungary that lacks moral clarity. Okay, my man. So the EU money. Elensky's talking about 15 billion. He's ready to buy Patriot systems for 15 billion. Where's he getting this money? He's either going to get this money from the funds that Biden gave him, if he has any left, or, man, what a nice day to be at the beach, huh? Jeez. That's where I should be, somewhere down there. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, he's either going to get the money from the Biden piggy bank, the Biden savings that was sent to Elensky, which I imagine there's not much money left there, or he's going to get it from the European Union. The problem that Elensky has with EU money is that the EU is promising a whole lot of money, but they're not really giving much. The UK is giving. The UK is giving money on loan. I believe the other day they gave Zelensky another billion. It's not 15 billion type of money that we're talking about, amounts that we're talking about. But, you know, it's a billion here, it's a billion there. Starmer is giving Ukraine whatever he can find lying around, whatever money he can find lying around. Starmer is saying, should I take this billion and use it to help the people of the UK? Or should I take this billion and give it to the Green Goblin? Let's give it to the Green Goblin. That is what Starmer is saying. But the rest of the EU, they cannot agree on getting a big package to Ukraine. So Kaja Kallas, she had this idea of 40 billion euros to Ukraine. And this would come out of the pockets of member states. It would be a percentage of their GDP, if I remember correctly what her plan was. A certain percentage of their GDP would just be taken and given to Elensky. And when you added it all up, it would come to 40 billion from the EU member states to Ukraine. And you know what Spain and Italy and France and other countries told Kaja Kallas about her plan when it came up for a vote? They said, Puesta Oyster Bar and Grill. Got some Spanish vibes at Puesta. How you doing? Limassol, Beach Cat. Beach Cat number 2, because Beach Cat number 1 is probably somewhere down there. Our favorite Limassol Beach Cat. But yeah, 40 billion. Italy, Spain, France said, nah, we don't have the money. we're in debt, man. Where are we going to come up with another 1% of our GDP going to Elensky? We don't have that cash lying around, so they shot down her brilliant plan. Officially shot it down. Yeah, it was going to be voluntary as well. That's how she structured it. EU member states would contribute voluntarily. So all the EU member states said, okay, well, if it's voluntary, and I volunteer to not send money. That's the thing with the EU. They talk about giving all this money to Zelensky, but they never come through. Which is why if the US goes, Project Ukraine is going to end very quickly, within a couple of months, if the US walks away. That's so nice, huh? What a nice area. Ah, boy. Let's move on. Someone in Telegram, on the Duran Telegram channel, actually created the meme that I was talking about yesterday, with the guy sweating, the superhero, whoever he is, sweating as he chooses between 2 buttons: Russian Putin gas or US Trump LNG gas. It says Kaya Kallas. Which one do I press? Reuters reporting that French and German businesses, they want the EU to start bringing in some Russian pipeline gas now. They're like, now bring in some Russian pipeline gas, because the US, if we negotiate with them over a tariff trade deal, they've got us by the you know what, right? Because we get so much US LNG now. If we don't bring in some Russian gas, we're going to have zero leverage on the United States, because they're going to control our energy. Funny how that works, huh? And so they're saying to bring in some Russian LNG, and Kaya Kallas is talking about a 17th sanctions package. Which one do I choose? Putin and Russian gas, or US and Trump LNG? Which one do I go with? Trump or Putin? Sanction Russia, or bring in Russian gas so we can have some leverage over Trump? Oh man. So thank you for that creating that funny meme. And what else should we discuss? There are reports that Biden is going to speak to the American people today. Have you guys heard about that? Biden to deliver first public address since leaving the White House on Tuesday. Today, he's going to deliver his first public address. Does anyone care? I don't care. What is Biden going to say? What could Biden possibly say at this moment in time? He's going to talk about tariffs or something like that. If he's able, if he's capable if he's capable to speak and talk about tariffs, who knows, man, with Biden? I don't know. Maybe they've got him already. They've pumped him up with it, whatever they need to pump him up with, and he's ready to talk to the American people for the first time since he left the White House. Oh my God. Let's walk to the beach. So there's that bit of news, and there's the news that BlackRock Mertz, his first trip as chancellor, is going to be to take a wild guess. It's going to be to Kiev. I'm shocked. Big surprise. His first trip, once he becomes chancellor, I think he is chancellor now, isn't he? I think it's official that he is chancellor of Germany. His first trip, international trip, is going to be to visit the Green Goblin, to pay homage to the Black Rock avatar that is Elensky, to bow down to the Black Rock avatar that is Elensky. That is going to be Mertz's first trip. Did you guys read what Medvedev posted on X about Mertz? I won't say it in this video, because if I did say what Medvedev posted, this video would probably be taken down, like right away taken down. But man, Medvedev. Let's just say that Medvedev did not like the fact that Mertz hinted at the Taurus missiles, German Taurus missiles being used to hit the Kerch Bridge. That's what he hinted at in an interview. Mertz said, we'll give the Taurus missiles to Ukraine and they can hit the, I believe he said the south or the land corridor in the south. We can hit one of the, what did he say? Infrastructure in the south or something like that. He was hinting at the Kerch Bridge. That's what he was hinting at without specifically saying the Kerch Bridge. Medvedev did not like it. He did not like it at all because it was a threat from Mertz. He's threatening to give Taurus missiles, and Germany is going to launch those Taurus missiles to hit the Crimea Bridge. That's what Mertz was basically saying. I got to wrap up this video. My God, I've been talking for a long time. All right. So yeah, Medvedev talked about Mertz, warned him not to threaten Russia, and then talked about Mertz's family history. I've got some good clown worlds, but I don't have any time. Man, I've been rambling too long. So we have the, which clown world should I do? Okay, let's do Bezos. We'll do Bezos and I'll save the other clown world for tomorrow. So yeah, we had the rocket launch of Blue Origin or Blue Horizon or whatever it's called. And it went into space. I don't know, did it go into space or did it not go into space? Someone who's an expert, let me know. From what I understand, it was kind of in space for about 10 minutes. It kind of goes into space, not fully into space, but kind of goes into space. And on this rocket ship was Bezos, his fiancée or wife, and Katy Perry and some other celebrities were on this ship. Female celebrities and talk show hosts and stuff like that. And the New York Times called this a stunt. The New York Times says this was one giant stunt for womankind. Blue Origin's all-female flight proves that women are now free to enjoy capitalism's most extravagant spoils alongside rich men. So New York Times did not like this. Katy Perry got off the ship, the capsule, when the capsule landed. She got out of the capsule and said that she felt deeply connected to the strong divine feminine while she was on her space flight. And the clown world, the best clown world in all of this was Bezos. When the capsule, the capsule landed, Bezos was going around the capsule trying to, I guess, open the door, the hatch for his wife or fiancée to come out, and he was running around the capsule, and then he tripped and fell flat on his face. And I guess it's always funny to watch a man worth 200 or 300 billion run around a space capsule and fall on his face as he's trying to get to his fiancée. I don't know. Something funny about that. I don't know. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I'm wearing in this video update, a t-shirt with the Greek flag. I will see everybody tomorrow